Hey, hello. Hey, listen, hello, you all. Hello. You have reached the Daily Dish with Dimples. Thank y'all so much for being here. Woo! I'm gonna take a breath. Those doggone steps don't be playing any games. Listen, you all have reached the Daily Dish with Dimples. This is my talk show that cannot be possible with all of you. Thank you for the newcomers who are here. Thank you for being here. Hey, listen, you all. If you are coming back, welcome home. Listen, for all gifts, any favors that happen right here, right now, I thank you in advance. I love you. I appreciate you. This does not exist with you. Without you. If I do not say thank you or whatever, I may do like this, which means thank you, or okay, so I may do that. This is being taped and it goes on my YouTube channel at The Daily Dish with Dimples. So listen, y'all, what is the Daily Dish? What is the Daily Dish with Dimples? It's the triple D. The triple D seeks to do this, right? Y'all, we're here all the time, right? A lot of times we don't even want to admit as much that we are here, right? But the fact is we are, and it's somewhat of addiction to people. You may not want to agree, you may not. That's fine, no problem. Cool, but the fact is, because we're here so much, sometimes we're missing what's going on in the outside world. So what does the Daily Dish seek to do? It seeks to bring what's going on in the outside and bring it on the inside. We can kind of get an idea of what's going on. What do we do here? Like, there's topics that are discussed. What happens is I take a topic, and it's typically two topics, but you all, this topic that I'm going to talk about today was so juicy that I really wanted two perspectives, okay? So we have one topic today. In the midst of those topics, I talk about world news or other things that's going on in the world as well, okay? So I definitely want to say thank you for being here again. Welcome for all who are new. Welcome home for all who are coming back. So listen, thank you so much again for being here. So listen, y'all, hey, what I say, nope, we are all right on time. Listen, I say about this show is, like, Wendy Williams is one of my favorite, like, that's my favorite, right, on TV and so forth. So I consider it to be like really like a Wendy Williams. Oh, okay. I consider it to be a Wendy Williams on the app. Yeah, I do. I do. So Wendy Williams is so near and dear to my heart. So near and dear to my heart that I just want to take a couple moments to just to kind of bring to you a message that was on her page. I want to take with you a message that was on her page. Hey y'all, Wendy Williams has been out. If you are not aware, Wendy Williams suffers. She had been diagnosed with COVID. She'd been diagnosed with COVID, and she's had a long time battle with Graves' disease, with hyperthyroidism, right? So right now she's not here. She's actually, there are a series. Did y'all know that Wendy Williams was actually not in her purple chair? Who here knew that Wendy Williams has not? So you did. Who else did not know that? Okay, who else did not know that Wendy Williams was currently out right now? She is out right now and has not been in her seat for a couple of weeks now. So she has people that are filling in for her while she gets better. Okay, I want to read to you something that Wendy Williams. Listen, this is what the triple D is about. The triple D, because hey, I brought down my cable bill. You understand? I brought down my cable bill because I said, why am I paying all this for this cable when I'm not even watching, right? So this is what we strive to do. Wendy Williams, who has been out, has not been back to her purple seat in a few weeks because of her sicknesses. She wrote today on her IG, or this is what populated. And I'm going to read this to you because that's my girl. So Wendy Williams said today, as everyone knows, my health has been a hot topic. I'm making progress, but it's just one of those things that's taking longer than we expected. I am a woman of a certain age, and I know enough to listen to my doctors and will return to my purple chair as we all agree I'm ready. You all, right now, I am reading a blurb from Wendy Williams' IG post. Most of us know that Wendy Williams is currently not she's currently not available. She is currently not, excuse me, how do I, I'm gonna, okay, excuse me. So she's currently not in her chair. So I'm reading a blurb from what she said while she's on the sidelines. As everyone knows, my health has been a hot topic. I'm making progress. It's just one of those things that's taking a lot longer than expected. I'm a woman of a certain age, and I know enough to listen to my doctors and will return to my purple chair as soon as we all agree I'm ready. I want to thank all my staff and guest hosts for stepping up and stepping in while I can't be there. I also want to thank Debmar, Mercury, and our stations for being understanding and supportive while I work on my way back. Most of all, I wanted to thank my fans. I have heard your prayers and comments and feel all the love. You are everything to me. I love spending my mornings with you all and doing everything I can to get back to work. But right now, Wendy has to focus on Wendy. I love you for waiting. Excuse me. We are waiting, but she said, I love you for watching, okay? So listen, y'all, I really wanted to read that blurb from Wendy because she is a big influence that I watched her in radio, I watched her in life. So I really wanted just to give you all an update. Right now, she has multiple people that are really, they're standing in for her, okay? So listen, you all, let's get into some other topics. Other topics. And before I get into some other topics, I want to say, everyone, thank you so much for being here. This is the Daily Dish with Dimples, the Triple D. Hello, I get hyped when I say the Triple D because it's the Triple D. So this is the Triple D, right? The Daily Dish with Dimples just seeks to bring what's going on in the outside world to the inside world, because whether we want to really admit it or not, we're addicted. So I bring some things that people may not know of that are happening on the outside, and I bring them on in, okay? So every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when the Daily Dish with Dimples go down, okay? That's when it go down. So we talk about world news, celebrity hot topics, and so forth. And so I'm excited. That's why. So listen, what I want to talk about first. So listen, y'all, the first thing I really kind of want to talk about is the update. I want to talk about an update about, hey, we talk about updates on COVID, okay? We've talked about the vaccines. We talked about it before it was approved, before one of them was approved by Pfizer, okay? But hey, since that time, there has been a lot of mandates, okay? There have been mandates. People have had to get the vaccine or they'll lose their jobs. Has anyone, by show of ones, has anyone been told, hey, you have to get the vaccine or you'll lose your job? Has anyone been put in that position? Has anyone? Okay. So since the vaccine has come out, hey, it kind of ramped. It started low from people wanting to be able to do it, and then it came up. And they say, hey, they're now making it mandatory, right? So there's been a lot of mandates. Now listen, y'all, most recently, one of the mandates that have hit have been on 5 to 11-year-olds. 5 to 11-year-olds. Yes. So, but guess what? Speaking of not put in a position, but chose to in order to protect my kids. Let's talk about the kids. The kids, hey, COVID regulations for 5 to 11-year-olds is finally a go. And this is where it's starting, right? The Los Angeles Unified School District, the nation's second largest, will require 12-year-olds to be vaccinated by mid-December, if they want to continue in-person school. Whoa. So listen, y'all, it's not just hitting like adults now, it's hitting kids. So that mandate is coming from Los Angeles, where don't feel bad because they're getting the kids too. They are getting the kids. Now the kids are required to get the vaccine. At least you have to be 12 and older. They said 12 and older. So thankfully they're not pushing that on kids under than that. But if you want to keep going to school, 12 and older, you have to be vaccinated. Okay, so listen, everyone, the only thing I would like to see with the vaccinations is that people who are vaccinated do not make people who are not vaccinated feel like less than. You know what I mean? Because I've seen that happen. I really have seen that happen. So let's just respect each other's opinion about what we choose to do. Okay. Let me tell you, listen, I was invited to a birthday lunch in July from a very close friend of mine. And I mean, I'm not vaccinated. Okay. So I was invited to celebrate her birthday. And when I got there, the conversation came about that I wasn't vaccinated. Now, mind you, I had brought my daughter to the birthday dinner as well. It was just like a lunch or whatever. I had brought my daughter. But when I told her that I was not vaccinated, she said that she didn't feel comfortable and wanted me to leave. So I ended up leaving a dinner in which I was invited to for someone that I've known since 2003, someone who I consider very close because I wasn't vaccinated. Now, listen, I'm not going to leave out anything. She suffers from MS, okay? She suffers from MS, and she wants to be able to protect her health. Now, let me ask y'all, how can you protect your health? Now, we're in a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, which full to the T. Now, everyone is at their respective tables with no mask. How do you, it's beyond me. But listen, let's just treat people with respect, whatever their decision is, okay? That's all I ask. Let's just make sure we respect people, okay? Listen, hello, happy Monday. This is the Daily Dish with Dimples. I thank you all so much for being here. Thank you in advance. Let's make sure we continue to be respectful. We have guests that have been invited here. And guess what? They're going to give their opinion. They're going to give their take on the topic that we're going to be talking about, okay? So really, I really want to take the time to invite my first guest. Hey, listen, the Daily Dish happens every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? I would love to invite my first guest just to join the box, okay? If you can request the guest box, that would be so amazing. So amazing. Yes, if you can do that, that would be amazing. I appreciate you all in advance for being here. I am grateful and thankful for you. Until that person, my first guest, request the box, listen, I just want to tell y'all about Kanye. Like, listen, Kanye, who actually still refers to Kim as his wife, actually has come out in public with a girlfriend. Her name is Ventria. Has anyone heard of Ventria? Does anyone know who she is? So Ventria, yeah. Well, Ventria is actually a model. No pun intended to the models here. But yeah, she is a model, and allegedly, you have never heard of her. Listen, he gets the most exotic type people that you never heard of and so forth like that. But he has come out and he is currently dating a model by the name of Ventria. It's Vinetria. Okay, so he still calls Kim his wife. Now, in all fairness, he is not divorced yet. Okay, I don't know if they're going to keep together or what have you, but he is not divorced yet. Okay, so listen, I'm going to really have my first guest come into the box while I talk about our main topic for today. Okay, our main topic for today is actually super cool. Yes, actually super cool. Listen, this individual is a breath of fresh air, okay? When a great friend of mine said, oh my gosh, she would be amazing. She would be like, tell her about your show, right? A great friend of mine said that, okay? And she knows her name. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I would love to have her on my show. She has energy. She is captivating. She is amazing. And I was like so honored for her energy. So I said, oh my gosh, I have to have her on. Listen, my first guest is none other than Miss Brittney Nicole.
Thank you.
Listen, I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure of mine. You know what I mean? It's such a pleasure of mine. It was amazing. Listen, girl, it was amazing to see you in the comments. When I said, "Oh my goodness," I saw that girl in the comments. I was like, "Woo, woo, woo!" I was like, "Dang." I saw her in the comments, but just to interact with you in person was amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Y'all just take the time now to favor her and so forth. But we're gonna just kick off with a topic that we're gonna have for today. Okay. Listen, before we do that, everyone, thank you so much in advance for being here. Thank you for gifts. Thank you for faves. Listen, I love you all. This is being recorded. It will be available on my YouTube channel, Daily Dish with Dimples. So if you're not here, if you're in Australia, you'll be able to catch it. Okay. So thank you so much. So Brittney, girl, over the weekend, Will Smith had an interview with Oprah. Oprah has a show that's on Apple Plus TV, okay? Oprah's always popping. She's always doing something different, right? But she had an interview with Will is having a memoir come out on Tuesday. He has his own personal memoir coming out, so you know how they promote and so forth like that. But the conversation was on, a part of the conversation on him, Will and Jada, okay?
Yes.
Now, a part of the conversation was that it dates back to their conversation in 2015 or 07, where they talked about how we cannot make each other happy. They said, hey, Will said, I need to be able to make myself happy, and you need to be able to make yourself happy, right? And then we'll be able to come back together, as one. I'd like to be able to really start there, just as your opinion. This is something that they have elevated as their position, because they had their own ups and downs and so forth like that, but they realized, hey, we got to love ourselves and we have to make ourselves happy. I would love to hear your take on that particular position in terms of making yourself happy as an individual and your partner being happy to bring something together to a relationship. What is your take on that?
Well, let me start off by saying I can totally attest to that. I think that we as people, we get so caught up in pleasing each other that we forget to take that moment to step away to make sure we're good. Because thank you so much. One thing Will also said was when he was a child, he felt like he seen his mom get hit, right? So growing up, he felt like he couldn't protect the women around him. He felt like he couldn't be the voice that he should have been. That's what it's coming from, because he didn't do what he felt like he should have done as a child. So now he's growing up and carrying that into adulthood, to where it's like he looks up and he's like, yo, I never addressed this trauma.
Right.
So we need to take the time to ourselves to deal with us as people so that we could come together and have something beautiful.
Correct. Now, it's funny that you mentioned that in terms of trauma, because that trauma, when you have trauma that happens at younger ages, it affects you from childhood to youth till adulthood. So the very fact that that's a soul searching moment, that's a moment of self-awareness, of intentionality, that's saying, hey, let me, Cat Williams said, in Cat Williams-ness, get into it with your star player. You understand? He's get into it with your star player. And if you're not in tune with your star player, it's not a good mix. It means you have to be able to value yourself. So I appreciate you bringing up that post, that past trauma, and how really it can be affected, and how he decided to work on that. Now let me ask you this: when people actually say that, hey, I need to work on me, there can be a disconnect, right? There's a disconnect sometimes, because even if you want to work on you, do people even know how to do that? Do they know how to do that? So if I was to ask you, hey, how do you start to do that? What is your thoughts? What is your contention that if someone says, I gotta love me, how do you start as your own person? How would you start that out? How would you set it off?
Well, it's so funny because I'm about to be 30, but I've been single for 7 years. And being single was me literally choosing myself, working on myself. So for me, what that looked like was going back to address that childhood trauma that I experienced that I wasn't able to heal from.
Okay.
And it's so much more heavier, I will say, for men, because we put this stamp on them to where it's like, oh, men don't cry. Oh, you a man. Man's supposed to be strong, be rough and tough. But it's like, men are still human. We all need some type of outlet to let go of whatever it is that we're holding in. We need to release. So that goes along with that too. It's such a heavy topic to hear him say that. It's so beautiful to hear him openly admit that on national TV, because not a lot of men have it in them to do. So for me, I think that it looks like going to therapy, seeking therapy. I went through therapy. That was my journey. I'm a strong believer in that. I will always say therapy is the way, because sometimes all it takes is for an unbiased person to sit you down and tell you about yourself, or to make you to tell you something to make you think in a way that you've never thought before. You know what I'm saying? Because people will only go as far as their minds will allow them. So if my mind has me in this box, that's all I'm gonna know.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's that box, right? And it's like perspective. And I feel like, experiences show us perspective, or they, think whether they're up or whether they're down. And life's about taking those experiences and bettering ourselves and saying, okay, whether it be, we go through heartache, we go through breakdowns. Well, how can we better ourselves? Now, listen, I want to be able to remind y'all that in 2020, if you don't remember, Jada was on her Red Table Talk. And during that Red Table Talk, there came a word that has been coined. I'm not sure if she started it or not, but it was entanglement. Hello. It was entanglement. If you all remember or not, like, Jada came and she said on her Red Table Talk that she got into an entanglement with, I think, August Alsina, right? Mm-hmm. So now that brought it, so that happened. I'm not sure if they were separate. They were probably separated. That's what she alleges, that they were separated. But that entanglement started, or it erupted something in their relationship. Like, do you remember when that entanglement came up, or when that was talked about on Red Table Talk? Did you see that?
I honestly, you have to remind me.
So what had happened was, I'll give you what had happened was. What had happened was Jada Pinkett Smith has a Red Table Talk as a Facebook channel that she has, in which she talks about and invites different people. Well, she had a particular, I'm not sure if it was Will or not, but she at that time admitted that she had it was Will. She admitted that she had an entanglement with August Alsina. And at that time, people wondered, well, what the heck is an entanglement? What is an entanglement? Are you inviting other people in and so forth? So listen, I'm going to leave it right there, because what I thought was so valuable is to really be able to bring this topic to the male side. And I'm going to just talk about some different things that weren't, but I thought it was really important to bring it to the male side as well. Hey, listen, you all, right now, if my second guest can request a box, if you are indeed here and available, if you could request a box, that would be the bomb. Hey, listen, right now you are at the Daily Dish with Dimples. This is the Triple D, baby. It's the Triple D. All right. Listen, the Daily Dish with Dimples happens every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, it gives us an opportunity to really find out what's going on the outside. So I take topics, or I take things that are happening, and I bring it here so we can talk about. Okay, so we have our next guest. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you, Brittney, to remove yourself from the box. I want to have our second guest, okay? And then you'll, when I ask you to come back, you will come back as well, okay? So that we can all be in the box. Hey, listen, there's a twist. I got a twist for you. Doing little things a little bit different, okay? Hey, hello. This is my brother Sapio.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, Devils, how are you?
Hello. Listen, you all,
A
I
plus.
just had to bring him on. Let me tell you, you all, if you don't know him, now you doggone know. This is my brother, Sapio. I did not mean for all the bars. Listen, this is Sapio, the child of is a good friend of mine. Listen, he is a man of many things. And it meant so much to invite him here. Sapio, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. If I have to, what I did, I'll mute you if I'm not, because I see there may be maybe some background noise. But I'm excited that you're here to talk about this. And what I really wanted to do was just to really I wanted to hear what you had to say. I wanted to get your take. What the conversation that we're talking about is Will and Jada. They said, hey, they decided as an individual couple, they said, hey, I have to make me happy. And she has to make herself happy. We cannot rely. It is not even fair to rely on each other to complete each other. A whole, you complete me type thing in Jerry Maguire, right? That was a you complete me thing, right? Where they said, hey, we don't want this to happen. How do we make sure we can make sure each other is happy and then bring it back to each other? I would love to get your take on that. I would like to know, what do you think about that? For anyone that's coming in now, for all the new guests, we are talking about a topic. Will Smith came on Oprah's Apple TV Plus show. It came on her Plus show, and they talked about like his marriage. He's got Will has a memoir coming out. So what we do is have two featured guests, and we're here to talk about it. Will said that, hey, I want to make sure that we're each happy together and that we don't complete each other as individuals. We have to make sure that each other's happy and not depend on each other to do that. And Sapio, the child indigo, is here to give his take. I'd like to hear what you think about that. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here.
First, I would like to start off and say thank you for even considering me to be on your show. We didn't really have that much time to even have the conversation about it, but she did prep me. So one, if the admins and if Mr. Chris himself are watching this, please make sure that you pick up this show, because this is a lot of good information and it brings wholesome conversation, and it just gives a whole paradigm shift to the application that's not normal, right? A lot of times we go in for different reasons, but this show right here is something that's needed, and I believe it's something that's going to be very prosperous for your platform and for Dimples herself. Now, moving towards the topic at hand, it was interesting hearing him be vulnerable. As what the young lady before me said, men typically aren't vulnerable, right? It's just not a thing. And when he was able to be vulnerable, we only saw one perspective. And you have to understand that we never really saw Jada's perspective. What's interesting about the entire topic itself is that he talked about how he felt he was a coward. And a lot of the times people don't even understand the cowardice attitudes that we actually hide inside, and which developed him to become a better actor was by him portraying people that he isn't. And he learned how to be a better actor in order to hide his cowardice. But with that cowardice, he learned how to grow. And specifically what Miss Brittney was talking about was when the memory of his father hitting his mother, and then, to the point where she was almost unconscious, I may have got that wrong. That changed with him. But prior to that change was making sure that he understood the life lesson he took was laying one brick at a time. And it was about being expanded, right? So himself, when something was overwhelming for him, he always concentrated on what was considered the wall. But in that wall situation, he started focusing on one brick at a time. And then he started to have a life approach that way as well. And in a situation, he also mentioned that monogamy was kind of his thing. It wasn't Jada's thing. It was very, very slight in the beginning, but she didn't even want to be married in the first place, although he wanted to be married. So there was details in there. So although she talked about red table talk, and he may have talked about it, they've had open relationships. It was introduced, kind of by her because she didn't want to. And regardless of what that spiritual journey that they have together, they learned that they were okay with coming into a relationship not being able to make each other happy, and that they need to find happiness within themselves. And oftentimes there are a lot of people in the conversation, or let's say on the platforms or whatever case you may be in your circles, we kind of talk about how we blame or we place blame on others about how we make others or they make us unhappy, right? Or they make us happy. Let's make sure I'm not just being pessimistic about it. You can't blame someone else for your own personal happiness, is essentially what he's getting at, because it's not their place to fulfill you.
Yeah.
So when he was using the reference as a cup, sometimes we want to fill our own cup, but we have to realize there's a hole in the bottom of it, and we are responsible for plugging that hole. And people will hop over to different marriages hoping that they'll find someone else to make them happy. But he used this vampiric ideology that people will suck this out of you and place this blame out of you, but not realize it's them themselves. So you truly need to understand that happiness comes from within. And I think he hit it right on the head there. As far as monogamy, that's going to be debatable depending on the background you come from. But I believe that his message overall is I need to learn how to give. And he's now in a place understanding that our life will always ebb and flow. You got to enjoy enjoyment while it's at its high point, but, buckle down while it's at its low point and just accept what's coming your way. And while you're accepting that, as you're moving forward through that ebb and flow, realize that you should probably be in a place of giving or acceptance. And that moves towards that unconditional love. And she asked him bottom line, do you think you have it figured out by now in your infinite wisdom, divine intervention, whatever the case may be? He was like, nope, absolutely not. He still doesn't have it figured out. So just know that we're all human, but just understand that another thing he talked about was inaction. Understand that your inaction does have an equal effect as well as your action. So as much as we pay attention to our actionable offenses, we should also pay attention to our inactionable offenses and realize that some of those inactions have just as much consequences, if not more.
Now, let me ask you, do you feel any, I don't know where that's coming from. Do you feel any type of connection? Do you feel any type of connection to what he said in terms of as your individual self, whether it's regarding dating or your own individual preferences? Do you feel as though like you have a parallel? Is that your parallel as well? Because it's one for someone to be someone else's, but do you connect with that?
I do. So for what he said, it resonated with me completely. I think I am fortunate because I have the same, not wealth perspective, but lived experiences that he has as far as ebbs and flows, high points, low points, failed marriages, if you want to call that, entanglements, so on and so forth. I've had a full array, and I believe that I'm privy to have learned this at an earlier age instead of the age that he has learned it now. And I'm glad that I learned it from the perspective of that experience, that life lesson previous to having to be 50, 55 years old, 60 years old. The only difference is that, we're in a different tax bracket. But for the common people who aren't in that tax bracket, a lot of us actually, these are normal lived experiences. But as Ms. Brittney was talking about, there is not really a way to identify the issue because we look outwardly, we don't look inwardly. Right. So how do we put that mirror up to ourselves and be reflective? Well, sometimes it is
Now, what I believe, he did get knocked out for one moment, and he probably will definitely be requesting the box again. But what I understand, what I feel like he was about to say was there a paradigm shift. And when you look at paradigm shifts, and it's a way of thinking, right? But paradigm shifts means there's a way of thinking. And has that been able to, this way of thinking is going to be something that's going to be beneficial to you. Paradigm shifts are something that we connect with. Were you going to say paradigm shift, Sapio? Let's see if he can come back. Okay. So yes, let me see if he's coming back. Great. Were you going to reference paradigm shift? I think say paradigm.
Mm-hmm. It's just understanding where you are in your life. A lot of the times, and I don't want to change topics, but I do want people to understand. And let's say from a man's perspective, we listen to women and we hear words and we consider it to be nagging. And the truth is that women aren't nagging. They're actually giving us information. We just don't know how to decipher that information. It's almost like it's in code. So we need the ability to listen. But before listening, we need the ability to accept. If I can't accept you as an individual, I'm not going to have the ability to listen to you. So I have to be able to accept what you're saying first, right? And then I have the ability for effective listening and effective communication, hopefully. Once I move past that point, then I can understand that I probably need to look a little inwardly so I can start changing the people around me who are kind of enabling me to be this negative or pessimistic person that I haven't realized myself, because sometimes I'm unconscious to my own negativity. I'm unconscious to the type of individual that I am, even though they've been nagging and telling me these things. I just didn't have a translator. So
that is because I it's so fun that you mentioned, and I appreciate you even saying that. You know what I mean? Because it has been a connotative nagger, but I think that is I've never heard that perspective. You know what I mean? From a man, most of us that's what we tend to do, but I have never heard that perspective in terms of giving information, because whether it be a little or a lot of information, it is information that's given. So I really appreciate you even, I appreciate you being on that, and effective communication. My brother, Mr. Gang always talked about effective communication. You know what I mean? Effective communication. And if you do not have that, how do you really be able to communicate? How are you able to get to results? It is about results, right? So listen, hey, you all, thank you so much in advance. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Daily Dish with Dimples. Hey, y'all, the Daily Dish with Dimples, what we do, we bring what's going on the outside. We talk about it here. Right now, we're talking to Sapio, child of Indigo, and we're really talking about Will's conversation that he had with Oprah on his show, right? We're talking about what he had on his show. I am going to be requesting, thank you so much. You are so on point. Hey, listen, what I'm going to do is add some more things to the conversation that was had that we may or may not know, because I want to make sure that we are aware of the conversation. So I am going to bring back Miss Brittney Nicole, all right? And we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to just share some information about other things that were said. I'm going to add her right in. Listen, let's see.
Hello, excuse me. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you so much, Sapio. That is such a breath of fresh air and so refreshing to hear you say that. So it lets us know that we are not tripping, that you are the No, I'm just kidding. No, but definitely that acceptance and that communication, effective communication is important. But sometimes the sender of the message could be communicating effectively, but you have some type of trauma or something that's triggering something in you to make you feel like, oh, she nagging. Oh, she done hit the nail on the head. Like, and it makes you react a certain way to now it's like, and I'm not just saying you, Sapio, so please don't feel attacked. I'm just saying in general, that is so important. And I feel like today's segment is a really good topic because we don't really have these sorts of conversations. I mean, I noticed that we're no longer in the older times. Like before, it was kind of like this is how things are supposed to be. I feel like the people of today, the millennials, we're starting, well, I say we're because I'm about to be 30 or whatever, but we are starting to ask more questions like, well, why? Or like, okay, so, we need answers. We have questions that we need answers to. So I think that it's just so beautiful and refreshing to see that the way, we went through a whole pandemic last year, for example, but the world is changing. It's changing in many ways than one. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that, you hit that is such a refreshing thing to hear you say, Mr. Sapio Indigo, okay?
Listen, you all, please make sure you favorite my good people. Make sure you favorite Sapio. Make sure you favorite Brittney and Nicole. Like these are streamers, okay? And we have different perspectives, whether it's men, women. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you favorite them. Like, let's support each other. I thank you in advance for everyone's here, who everyone's coming. Thank you so much in advance for gifts and so forth. We're here every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the Triple D, baby. That's the Daily Dish with Dimples. What I want to be able to give us a couple of blurbs that was given on the interview with Oprah, the Will Smith's interview with Oprah. Now, Oprah asked him, Are you in an open marriage? That's what Oprah Winfrey asked Will, right? He said, hey, are you in an open marriage? He said, quote, we are loving in freedom. So we are loving in freedom. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you mentioned that earlier, Sapio. She did not want a traditional like marriage, right? She didn't barely wanted a wedding. So now what they're saying is, hey, they said it's not just a sexual thing. They said, I'm gonna tell you what they said. They said, what she said was never internal for a traditional marriage. Will said, we are on a spiritual journey to cleanse the poisonous, unloving parts of our hearts, no matter what. Okay. And they said, we're doing it together and to the end. And they are adamant about not getting divorced. They like, hey, we decide on this. We did this. We're going to stick it out. And guess what? He said, it's friendship. He mentioned friendship. He said, love and freedom. It said friendship versus marital prison. Okay. That's what he said. So it's just like, okay, when you talk about friendship versus marital freedom, right? How does friendship weigh in? You know what I mean? To me, for what I understand or I've seen, thank you all so much for being here. People aren't friends. People, they ain't friends. They're not friends. And I feel like sometimes if people at times were friends, right, then they could have tough conversations, or that they can continue to love, or even if you're hurt, or even if something has happened, is that you could still love that person, even if they're not loving you the way you want to be loved. What do y'all think about that? I know it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it was a mouthful. So I just want to say that it's very important to, like, we say the vows till death do us part. This is a part of that. They said till death do them part. So it's like, okay, they're getting money together. Like, they have built this whole life together for years, to where it's like, this is their means of like financial support. So it's like, maybe they don't want to, because divorces could get so messy, and above all, they just, for the sake of the children and for the sake of them, they would much rather keep their friendship. Now, I know it's different. It's something that we've never really seen, because typically when marriages don't work, people try, and if it still doesn't work, they part ways. Correct. They divorce. And they're standing firm on their vows. And so me personally, me as an individual, I could respect that to the fullest.
Sapio, let me ask you this, Sapio. Do you feel as though, what's your take on friendship versus marital prison? What is your take on that?
Friendship versus marital prison is understanding if you're confined to the constraints or the conditions on why you're married in the first place, versus having that freedom of love or friendship. So, for example, if Miss Nicole said, hey, I need you to love me like this in order for me to be fulfilled, it kind of contradicts saying, hey, you need to make yourself happy first, so I am not responsible of making you happy. So once you start placing conditions on how I love you and how you are received by me, so on and so forth, then it's no longer organic and it's no longer authentic. So you shouldn't put conditions on how I love you. You should be able to accept me for who I am, and then allow me to love you the best way I know how. If you are already happy and you are already with love, then the only thing I can do is add to that. So that is my take between the friendship and the love. So when someone is saying, hey, you need to love me this way, this is what I need from you. Well, why are you adding a condition that may not exist within me? It might not even be possible. So once you start adding these conditions, now you give me the ability to break these conditions. And if I break one of the conditions, now it's no longer unconditional love. Now you are going to separate or leave me due to the condition or an expectation you set forth for me, from yourself to me, in order for me to follow. And if I can't follow the conditions that you set, then all of a sudden, does that mean you still love me? Is it authentic? How about you just love me for who I am and accept everything that comes with it, i.e. the vows?
That's so funny that you said. It's so funny that you said it because I think we probably have to really be able to really look at what we're doing or look at what we're asking or look at the commitments that we're willing to take. You know what I mean? We have to look at that. And a part of that is really getting to know who people are and what they want and what their wishes are. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like we see what we want. But we do not accept others. You know what I mean? It's like we put our foot first and we're not willing to see another set of footprints. So I don't know. What do you do? What do you do? Do you at least start with your own? Do you open your mind to be able to accept someone else? That's the rock and the hard place. How does that? I mean, like, how do we then come up? Really, how can we come up to where we can accept someone else than our own?
Ooh, I don't know. I just feel like you just kind of hit a nerve a little bit. So for tell the truth, shame the devil. So for me, I just feel like for example, I've been single for so long, like 7 years. And with me being young, certain people look at me and they're like, well, how do you even know or whatever? I've been in relationships, but I just didn't go. I took a different journey other than my friends because my friends were busy kind of like going out and creating, they're starting to have a family, and I did it the other way. It's like, okay, I want to be married before I have children. So I'm going to focus on my career and I'm going to just work on me and work on healing myself. You know what I'm saying? To that trauma that I wasn't able to really speak to necessarily when I was younger. So now as an adult, I went through that phase and that brought me all the way up until the point that I am now. But I said that to say, I feel like sometimes I know that I'm enough for myself, but one of the things that kind of bothers me or really just hurts my heart is to see that there's a lot of adults out here of age that are still leaning on others for their own self-happiness. Yeah. And I just feel like even the way that people date, it's like they get with people and they're like, okay, I want you to do this for me. Well, you don't even do that for you. So what makes you think, how could you hold me responsible for doing this for you when you won't even invest and do it for yourself? Yeah. So it's just kind of like, it's just insane. But I really appreciate today's segment.
Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you, and y'all not going nowhere. I just want to say thank you for you all taking the time, Sapio, Brittney. I appreciate y'all taking the time out your schedule just to be here, just to really weigh in on this topic, because these are things like, this is Will Smith in jail. Like, Sapio, you had mentioned a different tax bracket, right? We're nowhere near their tax bracket, but the fact is, this is real stuff that regular people go through, and a lot of times we're not talking about it. We don't have the conversations. We ain't got the money to be able to roll out or cars to be able to drive out. You know what I mean? Like, we have to deal with it right now. We can't escape. We cannot escape. So I want to say thank you so much for being here. Hey, listen, you all, this is the Triple D. This is the Triple D. This is the Daily Dish with Dimples. And what do we seek to do here? Hey, we addicted, and a lot of people are not going to be able to tell you the truth about that, but that's fine. So what I do is I say, hey, what is going on in the outside world that I can bring in here and talk to you all about, and we can have a discussion and topic. So what we have done today is really weigh in. Will Smith had a one-on-one with Oprah Winfrey. She's got like our Apple TV Plus show, right? He weighed in on it, and we talked about a lot of different things. He's got a memoir coming up, but one of the main things was he talked about being happy individually, bringing it together. But he also talked about that they have an open relationship, and it doesn't always include sex. And the funny thing is, when we think about that, we think about sex, right? But there's is not just sex. So I just want to say thank you for coming through. Thank you for being available. Sapio, I'd like to be able to just get to know you all a little bit more. I want to be able to say thank you, but I want to be able to get to know each other a little bit. I would like to, I'm going to end with Sapio because ladies are first. Brittney, Nicole, listen, we have had our segment, but this is the time to really get an opportunity for you all to know who Brittney Nicole is. I want you all to know who Sapio is. Brittney Nicole, what brings you to the app? Where are you at? When do you stream? Like, tell us a little bit about you, girl.
Okay, so I am located in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
I stream daily, and the thing that brought me to the app was something that I spoke on earlier, just me. So I work remote. My position's 100% remote. I work in corporate America, so it's really, really stressful. So I needed an outlet. I needed someone to talk to. I wanted to see positivity and be around positivity. So I just decided that I was going to go live. And because I'm the type of person to seek happiness when others are happy, like that makes me so happy to see someone smile. And I smile all the time. So I just try to show face and get on here and be a breath of fresh air. I play games, we do what we do when we do how we do, but we do it respectfully. I don't allow any negativity in my stream at all. Rap battles are beyond me. That's when they do their little disrespectful talk or whatever. But above all, guys, when you come over, you can always expect to hear good music. I stream daily in the evening time. So at 6 Pacific time, you could catch me on. 6 Pacific time.
Anything that you have in terms of a goal, like what you want to accomplish moving forward, where you see yourself even 6 months with streaming? Where do you see yourself 6 months?
I'm going to be a top badge.
Hey!
I want to be a top badge.
Okay. Hello.
So yes, I have goals, most definitely. But Dimples, thank you so much for having me. Like, I'm so honored to even be asked. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Listen, y'all make sure y'all favorite Brittney Nicole. Listen, y'all heard it here. You have to put things out there. It has to materialize. And the first place it's going to materialize is out your mouth. Thank you so much for being here, Brittney Nicole. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all favorite Brittney Nicole. I love you. I thank you, Queen. I will not kick you out the box. I will not kick you out the box.
Thank you.
I will see you soon. Hey, Sapio, child of indigo. Listen. Thank you so much again for being here. Thank you for weighing in. I just want to be able to have, I want to be able to have people get to know who you are and what you stand for here. Yeah, like I don't even have to ask you much because I feel like you're a man that knows himself. Talk to me, to us.
So as you all know, I'm Sapio, the child of indigo. Nationality is American. Ethnicity is some lineage of African American and Korean. I joined this application in order to learn how to communicate and conversate again after my failed marriage. And for me, just like Brittney, it was an outlet. And having that outlet gave me the opportunity to learn how to communicate with several people from across the world at any time live. And it gave me the platform to be able to talk about my stress as my therapist suggested, and in the comfort of my own home. Right. I also work remotely sometimes. Most of the times I work on government systems. I'm an aerospace engineer. And a lot of those times, we're kind of kept in a little dark area. But as far as communication goes, you have the ability and accessibility to communicate from people from all walks of life, from anywhere in the world. You just have to take advantage of that. So that's kind of why I joined the application. It wasn't for any relationships or anything like that. Because again, like Ms. Nicole, I'm working on myself. That is why I'm on the application. And about 6 months from now, I stream very intermittently. It's an eclipse if you catch me. So if you catch me, you catch me. If you don't, you don't. But as far as just communication and conversation goes, I think it kind of helps out to be able to use a platform such as this. And I'm glad Meet Me and POF, Zeus, and whatever other platform gave us the opportunity to do that.
What I would like. Let me see if I can get. I gotta touch that real quick. what I like to be able to bring up is that, Sapio, you're a very intellectual person. Intellectual in terms of conversation. So we talk about conversation. When you talk about conversation, it's the ability to talk on an intellectual level, which can at times can be advanced, right? And you used to have, at one time, you had shows every Saturday. You had shows in which you invited guests, whether it was military, whether it was domestic violence. You had different topics. Would you ever consider bringing that back? That was so full of substance, and it brought people together every Saturday. I'm not sure it was 2 or 5 o'clock, but every Saturday you would have that. Would you consider bringing that back to us?
Yeah, I would do it. It was the bridge connecting communities. And I was in a place in my life where, much like Will Smith, I was trying to find myself and listening to other people's stories and getting a chance to learn people for who they are, opposed to the way that we see them, gave me that outlet. And it kind of helped give me a better perspective about the individual. So, long answer, but short answer, yes, I would like to do that. Right now, as some of you all know, I live in Italy. I'm transitioning to America, Northern California. So I'm just making sure that I transition fine. And then once I get settled, more than likely I'll start that back.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I appreciate you so much. I value the time that you spend here. I value, whenever you're ready to bring that to us, because it was helpful, and it was something that we need. And it's like we always talked about, hey, people talk a lot, right? But you say, what are you doing about it? What are you doing? Like, you want to do something about the community? What are you doing about it? So you always challenged us. You challenged me. You challenged individuals to do your research. You challenged us to be able to say, hey, you want to talk about it? Be about it then. You understand? What are you doing? What actions are you taking? So I want to say thank you so much for who you are, for what you strive to do. Like, you take your time. You are appreciated. You are loved. And I thank you. You all, please make sure you favor my brother, Sapio Child of Indigo, who is really taking the time, and it's like later wherever he is, to be available. So thank you so much. Take your time to favor him. I appreciate you, Sapio. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know you only got a few minutes before your show ends, 4, I think, specifically, but hey, look, if you all haven't favored her, please favor her. Look, she's almost to 3.8. If you guys would like to help out there, we can get her to 3.8. I'm going to make sure I do my part to get her closer to there. You guys can have it. But thank you again for allowing us, myself and Nicole, to be on the show. We really appreciate it. Obviously, I can't speak for her, but I know she is super excited to be here. And without you, there is no us. So just thank you for rocking with us. And let me retract an earlier statement. My 6-month goal is to support you to become a featured show person and a future top badge. That's my 6-month goal. So hopefully whoever's watching that needs to watch this sees that potential, and then they'll help move you forward, because we need inspiring people like you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Sapio. God bless you. I love you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Let me exit out because I know you got to talk.
See you soon. Oh my gosh. Yo, that's the triple D. It's the triple D, That's the Daily Dish with Dimples. You all, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Yo, that's a show. That's a show. That's a show. I thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate that. Listen, I really want to make sure that we continue this. I appreciate the support. I appreciate y'all being here. I thank you so much for the love, like for real. Sapio, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time. Really, thank you for your input. Thank you for that. Listen, y'all, Brittney, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being to take the time. Thank you, y'all, for even looking at what we talked about. Thank y'all for taking my heads up and really bringing your own. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. Listen, this show is headed for greatness, but guess what? I am nothing without y'all. Like, don't even make me go to my Whitney Houston voice. I thank you all. Listen, this has been the Daily Dish with Dimples. It's the triple A. It's the triple D. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, I appreciate y'all so doggone much. Listen, thank you so much. Y'all, woo! Thank you, Sapio. I appreciate that. I appreciate all y'all. Thank you. This is a whole culmination of things. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Every one of you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, the Triple D, the Daily Dish with Dimples, is every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start on time, okay? It ain't no CP time here. It's Triple D time, okay? So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate y'all. I gotta go upstairs. Oh my God, I gotta go upstairs and stop the recorder, okay? Thank you so much. Listen, I just thank y'all so much. Listen, don't go nowhere. I'm going to stop the recording. I'll be right back.